Welcome back, my dear students. I welcome you all to the another lecture series or another lecture in this series where we'll be talking about the diversity in the living world. But before that, what we have learned in our previous lectures, obviously we have started the unit number first, that is diversity in the living world, and in that chapter number first we have started, that is the living world. Okay, so in that, in earlier two lectures or earlier two videos, we have seen that what is exactly the living and what are the different criteria, what are the different characteristics, or what are the different peculiarities that the living organisms possesses. Now in that we have seen that there are certain characteristics like growth, like reproduction, like metabolism, or you can say cellular organization, and consciousness, particularly self consciousness. So these are the characteristics, these are the features of living organisms, and because of these characteristics we can identify, we can say that that particular organism is living. And in that also we have seen that the reproduction and growth, these two features cannot be termed as a defining property of living organisms due to certain exceptions, but at the same time metabolism, cellular organization, and consciousness, these characteristics could be, or it can be called as a defining features of living organisms. Now this is a brief revision of our earlier lectures that I used to take in every lecture. Now today we will see what is the topic. That topic is called as diversity in the living world. Okay, now first point here is what is diversity. Again, earlier we have also discussed this point, but see, when you look around you will see number of different living organisms that exist in this very world. You will see different types of organisms like cat, dog, horse, okay, elephant, tiger, lion, different types of insects, butterflies, moths, like fishes are there. Then you can see different types of plants are there. So as you see around your world, you will see there are tremendous amount of organisms which exist on this earth. All this constitutes the biodiversity. Now what is biodiversity? Biodiversity, if you want to define biodiversity, it can be defined as the number and type of organisms in this world, in the world, you can say, that is called as the biodiversity. That is the definition of biodiversity. What is biodiversity? Biodiversity is actually the number of different organisms and number and type of different organisms, all that organisms which exist on this earth, that is termed as the biodiversity. So if you look around, you will find tremendous number or tremendous biodiversity that exists in this world. If you can see the number of species, each and every species, if you see it is a cat, that corresponds to 1, if it is a dog, it corresponds to 2, elephant 3, tiger 4. So in that fashion, if you count the number of different species of one type of organism is one species. Okay, the number of species found to be 1.7 to 1.8 millions. Okay, 1.7 to 1.8 millions is the amount, is the number of, not amount, number of different species which exist in this world. Obviously it is not an exact figure, it is approximate, but if you see the number, it is quite huge or quite high. Okay, so that is the diversity, or in particular biodiversity. If we have seen the definition of biodiversity as a number and type of different organisms which exist on this very earth. Okay, now we know that there is a tremendous diversity of living organisms in this world, but we know each and every organism by its name. Say for example, cat, dog, it is cat. When we think of cat, only the picture of cat will come in our mind. If we think of dog, only dog will, we are able to visualize only the dog. So this cat, dog, or other type of organisms have a particular name. Okay, but the point here is that these names, if we want to see, for example, mango, if you take an example of mango, okay, or you can say it is in English language. Okay, so this tremendous diversity which exists in this world, if we want to classify it, if we want to study it, there is a need of giving names to that particular species. Without giving name, once the, what you can say, that was the scientist, you can say, who has said that what is there in the name, but what is there in the name, Shakespeare, that was famous scientist was Shakespeare. I forgot to memorize the name. That was the Shakespeare who said that what is there in the name, but imagine the world without names. Okay, is it possible? I don't think so. So giving names, giving particular or unique name to the organism, to the individual, is very important aspect. Okay, and giving names to the particular species is called as the nomenclature. Okay, it is called as the nomenclature. Nomenclature, what do you mean by nomenclature? Nomenclature is a science, or it is a process of giving names. Okay, giving names to that particular organism, that is called as the nomenclature. In Marathi you can say आपण ज्याला म्हणतो बारसं करणं. So we, in that we give the name to that baby. Okay, so in likewise the name is required. Even though Shakespeare has said that what is there in the name, still from scientific point of view it is very important to give a name to a particular plant or particular animal, and that names too must be unique. For example, in Marathi, in Marathi you called mango as a amba. Okay, in Marathi you called as a amba, but when you go in south, if you ask someone to please give me that amba, whether he or she could understand that word? Obviously not. Okay, so there is a need for a universal structure of, or universal process of giving name to that particular plant, that is called as the nomenclature or scientific nomenclature, you can say. And the most accepted system for that is binomial nomenclature. What is that? That is the binomial nomenclature. So here there are certain you can say organizations or institutes which gives or which decide certain criteria for giving name to the particular plants or particular animals, and these criteria or principles, there are certain principles, there are certain criteria. On the basis of that, the names will be given to the particular organisms. In that context, two organizations or two you can say two organizations are there, or it is a kind of a, you can say, criteria, or you can say principle. Based on that, this ICBN and ICZN. What do you stands for? ICBN. ICBN means International Code, international code for botanical nomenclature. Okay, nomenclature. International code for botanical nomenclature. And what is ICZN there? ICZN is same, but here instead of botanical it is the zoological. But why it is so? Botanical nomenclature is there to give the names or to set or to lay down the criteria for plants, whereas international code for zoological nomenclature, it gives the name to the particular animals or the animals. Okay, so what is this ICBN and ICZN? It is a kind of a book. Okay, you can say it is a kind of a book on which certain rules and regulations are given, and applying that rules and regulations, the different scientists across or all over the different world give the names to that particular plants or animals. Now the most accepted system that I have given you the example of mango. So in Marathi it is called as amba. If you go in south, you are not able to tell what you exactly want. So these names are called as vernacular names. Okay, these names are called as vernacular names. Vernacular names which represent in a particular area, which are talked in particular area, or these vernacular names, they tend to vary in you can say in different regions of the different area of the India also. If you take the example, if you say salt or meat in Marathi, it becomes oppu in you can say Karnataka. Okay, so that different names or the different constituents will have different names in different regions. So obviously it will create the ambiguity, it will create the confusion among different peoples, and to avoid that, this ICBN and ICDNs works for that, let down the criteria, let down the principles, and on the basis of that, this nomenclature system, that is the binomial nomenclature system, that was introduced and which is accepted all over the world. So what is this binomial nomenclature system? Obviously, if you see, nomenclature means what? I told you, nomenclature means what? The process of giving name is called as nomenclature. Now bi means what? Bi means your two. Bi means two. Nomial means name. Okay, so a system of giving name which consists of two names. Okay, there are two names, therefore it is called as binomial. Bi means two, nomial means name. Okay, it consists of two names. Earlier polynomial system was there in existence. Okay, polynomial was also there, but if it was quite cumbersome or quite tedious to people to speak all the name. For example, if I told you, obviously these botanical names are quite, you can say, lengthy, or they are very difficult to pronounce at some times. Therefore the peoples are reluctant to take the botany as a subject. But obviously, trust me, the botany is very interesting subject. Or even overall biology speaking, in biological also zoological nomenclature is there. So all this binomial nomenclature consists of two names, that is, one is your genus name and another is your species name. Okay, that will be going to study what is binomial nomenclature is all about. Obviously it consists of, or it is consist of two components. How many components? Two components. Okay, First one is your generic name. First one is your generic name. That is, you can say, here I have taken the example of mango. Okay. So in Mangifera indica, and this is L. Okay. That L I will tell you later. But for to understand what is binomial nomenclature, see, bi means two, nomial means name. So it is a system of giving unique name to the individuals, to the organisms, which is same all over the world. This point should be remembered. The name that we give through binomial nomenclature, these are the same all over the world. Okay, these are the same. It consists of two components. First one is your, you can say, generic name, and second is your specific epithet. Okay, first one is your generic name, second is your specific epithet. Now if you see here, the example I have taken is Mangifera indica. Here you will see Mangifera is your generic name. It is your generic name. Okay, or you can say a name of a genus. To me, you can call it as a genus. What is genus, species, I will tell you later. And this indica is called as the specific epithet. It is called as the specific epithet. It is actually an adjective. Okay, so this is a noun and this is an adjective. This is what generic name or name of the genus. Obviously it consists of two names, genus and species. What is species? Species is your specific epithet and generic name is your noun. Okay, now in this letter word Mangifera indica, this Mangifera is your generic name and indica is your specific epithet. And what is this L? I will tell you. Now there are certain rules and regulations that on the basis of that this binomial nomenclature is based. First rule here is all these all these names are in Latin language. Okay, Latin is the one of the oldest language. On the basis of that, this oldest language is used to, you can say, give the names. Likewise English, French, this is a Latin language, which is an old language actually, and all these names are given in the Latin language. Second thing, they are written in italics. So what is italics? If I write the name, or if I want to print the name on, or you want to take the printed version, then you must write in italic. Italic means what? Like this. Okay, italic means what? Italic means what? You can say somewhat tilde. Okay, you have the option in the word that you make the word italic. Okay, so if it has to be printed, it is printed in italics. But at the same time, if you want to write the name by your hand, if you want to write a name by your hand, then what is important here is you should separately underline both these words. Which word? This is the generic name and this is the specific epithet. That is actually the name of the species. See, I have underlined these two words, Mangifera also and indica also. So what is important here is when you want to write the name, then you must underline both the names, and that too separately, not like that, not like completely. You must have to underline it separately. So that is another very important rule. It should be in Latin language. Okay, then it should be in italics when printed. When you have to write by hand, you must underline the both word, you can say both words separately. Now this first word, that is the generic name, it must start with the capital letter. This M is your capital letter, so it must start with the capital letter, whereas this I, it should be starts with the small letter. So always remember, in binomial nomenclature, when you have to write the generic name, it always starts with the capital letter, always. Whereas this species name, it starts with the small letter. Okay, so these are the rules. It should be Latinized, or it must be in Latin language. These both components, when handwritten, they are, you can say, should be underlined. Then if they are to be printed, they must be printed in italics. So these are the rules of the binomial nomenclature. Now I have written here L. So what is this L? Now that L is called as authority, that, or it is also called as citation. Okay, authority or citation. So what is authority? Authority is nothing but the brief version or short form of the scientist who has described that species for the first time. Okay, for example, here in Mangifera indica, I have written here L. L stands for Linnaeus. Okay, L stands for Linnaeus. You know Linnaeus. Okay, so Linnaeus was the scientist who is actually called as the father of taxonomy, because he has done a massive amount of work in taxonomy. What is taxonomy? We'll discuss immediately after this. So here, what is L? L is called as the authority or citation. What that means? This Mangifera indica was first time described by the scientist Linnaeus. Therefore, this is called as L. That is the Lin. L, or you can write Li like this. You can also write, but mostly it is written as L. Okay. So here you have given the example of Mangifera indica. You may take the example of, you can say, Cydium gajava, means what? Peru. That is the name of Peru. Cydium gajava. So here Cydium and gajava. Cydium is your genus name. Gajava is your species name. Okay. Likewise, you can take any other examples. Zizipus zizuba means what? You bora jala apan manto. So that also, one is generic name, one is specific name. So these are some of the rules, and this L is your authority or citation. Now we have started to give the names through applying the different rules. That is the that has formed the binomial nomenclature. But there is a need to particularly group the organisms based on their similarities into a particular group, and this process of grouping different organisms in a different group based on their similarity of their characters is called as the classification. So there is a need to classify the organism, because until and unless you classify the organisms properly, you will not able to study that organisms. Okay, for example, if you go in library, you will see that different books are arranged at different places, where you will find 11 books at one place, 12th book at one place, physics book at another place. So this classification makes to access that books very easily. In the same fashion, until and unless we classify the organisms based on their characteristics, it becomes quite difficult to study the organisms, and for that classification is very important. Now this is about the classification. Now what is taxa? If you see, if you call you can say cat, if you call a dog, if you call a horse, the picture of cat will come into your mind, picture of dog will come into mind. If you think of, if you speak cat, then obviously you will not see the picture of dog, you will see the picture of cat. So what is that actually? This cat, dog and horse, these are the categories. Okay, and that categories are called as the different taxa. Okay, the taxa are what? Taxa are these categories which are present. And if you see, for example, I have given you the example of cat. Cat is what? Cat, mammal and animal. Okay, cat, mammal and animalia. Okay, so you know that cat is a mammal, and mammal belongs to the kingdom animals, group animals. So these are the taxa at a different levels. So there are different levels through which taxa can be expressed. So that is called as the taxa. Now what is taxonomy? Okay, what is taxonomy? Taxonomy is a science of identification, classification, nomenclature, description. You can say identification, description, classification, and nomenclature. So all these processes are basic to the taxonomy. Is a science, is a branch of biology, you can say, which deals with proper identification, its description of characteristics, and based on that description it is placed in the particular group, that is classification, and it has been given the name, that is your nomenclature. So this is called as the taxonomy. Okay, so taxonomy is very important branch where we are able to identify, we are able to classify, we are able to give the name to the particular organisms. Now we'll see later on this taxonomy also in greater detail. If you don't understand it now, don't worry, we'll discuss elaborately in the next lecture also. Now what is systematics? See, sometimes this taxonomy and systematics, these words are utilized synonymously. What is systematics? It is the systematic arrangement of different organisms. Man has always been curious about the different animals which are present all over the world or in the vicinity of the man. Now what kind of interrelationship, what kind of relationship, particularly you can say evolutionary relationship, that the different organisms were having, that has been the point of interest of man since very long. Okay, so all this systematic arrangement of different organisms or study of the evolutionary relationship means what are the different type of relationship that different organisms were having with each other, that is called as the evolutionary relationship. From the evolution point of view, that has been studied in the branch that is called as the systematics. So overall we discussed today what is diversity, what is biodiversity, that is the number one type of organisms on the earth. We have seen that tremendous you can say amount of diversity exists, around 1.7 to 1.8 billions. Then why there is a need of nomenclature? To avoid the confusion, to avoid the ambiguity. Then different associations are there like ICBN, ICZN, International Code of Botanical Nomenclature, International Code of Zoological Nomenclature, that will set certain principle and criteria. On the basis of that, this binomial system of nomenclature was introduced, which consists of two names. One is generic name or genus name, and second is specific name. Okay, specific epithet, there is a name of species. So we have taken the example of Mangifera indica. Likewise you can take Cydium gajava, Gigipus jujuba, Tinospora cordifolia, Gurwell you can call it as a. Then there are a lot of number of names are there which always consist of two names, therefore it is called as the binomial system. Then we have seen the different rules of nomenclature, then authority, or what is authority or citation, what is classification, why there is a need of classification, what is taxa, is a kind of a category, what is taxonomy, what is systematic. So I hope you all have understood what I was trying to tell you, and even if you find the difficulty, in my about section the mail is given, you can mail me any kind of difficulty. Finally, I would request all of you, my dear students, so if you are watching this video till end, then I request you all, if you like the video, please hit the like button. If you have not subscribed yet, please subscribe to my channel, and please share this video if you find it useful to the different or the needy students, because this content is totally free, and I will going to prepare entire NEET videos in due course, and that will be beneficial to you for overall preparation of NEET. We are also planning to take the discussion series of MCQ type, because there we'll going to also focus on that also, but that is after the all the learning stage. So I request you all to please spread this video as possible so that the student will get benefited. Thank you, my dear students, for your patient listening. We'll meet in the next lecture with a further topic. Till then, thank you very much.